Welcome back. In this part of the tutorial, part 3, we'll be taking the Starfighter that we've colorized and we'll be finishing it up, adding the finishing touches so that it looks just right and will be ready to be put against a background. Okay, now let's work on some of the other details. I'm going to zoom in. I'll select my Starfighter layer so that I have control of the lines. And I'm going to take my magic wand and select this engine. Okay. What I'll do from here is I will take my fill and I'll take some gray. And then I'll take my line and black. And I'll make my line size, I'm going to do about 4. I'm going to make a grid. It doesn't have to be that perfect. And then I'll just crisscross it like this. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to go to Effects, and I'm going to go to Blur, and I'm going to go to Fragment. But by fragmenting it, much better characteristic. Okay. You take this, you go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste into a new layer. So now I have a layer with just this part right here. I tuck this layer underneath the Starfighter layer, and I move this thing over. Now I turn it, and I shrink it a little bit, and I move it up, and guess what? I've now created a grate for this. One thing you'll notice, and this is another thing that has to deal with tolerance, you see this when I zoom in? You see that? You have a tolerance issue here, because it didn't select all the way. So, to solve that problem, what I'm going to do is, because I'm on layer 4 beneath this, I can look to see if this is see-through. If it is, I take my black pen or my black paintbrush, increase the size, 10 is good. Now, the problem exists on the Starfighter layer. See, when I open the Starfighter layer, that's where this orange line comes around. But it's not really an orange line, it's just see-through because my background is orange. So I go one layer below the Starfighter layer, which is layer 4, and I draw around. Select that. And when I draw around, magically it fills in. See? There we go. So now it's nice and clean. I'll go over here. This looks pretty clean. This looks kind of like a, part of the way the ship is constructed. So that's kind of cool. Like I said, when you leave this stuff, this stuff that you drew by hand, it gives it a lot more character. It's pretty cool. So I'm happy with these vents. I think they look good. I'm going to take my Starfighter layer and I am going to merge it down into layer 4 and rename it Starfighter again. Okay, so now I took care of the vents. Now let's do the lasers. Okay, to do the laser, I'm going to take my magic wand and I'm going to select the laser. Now, before I drew some circles here, I'm going to zoom in on this. I'm going to get rid of the top part of this, this circular piece, just like that. Okay. So now it has a kind of rounded look on the front. And I'll do it the same over here. Let me zoom out here. I'll do the same over here. And let's just get rid of this altogether. So I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to make these ends rounded looking. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of these sticks that we drew. So now our lasers are ready to be adjusted. I'm going to select it with my magic wand. Tolerance 52. Take my fill, put gray. Then I'm going to take my line tool, take white. Make this smaller. Looks good. We can come up here and do the same thing. Select, fill, take gray, take the line tool, select white, line size is 2, sweep that all the way back. Okay, good. Now it's time for the actual laser. Zoom in on the tip of this laser. We're going to take our paintbrush, take black, we're going to take our line tool, I'm going to take black, We're going to add a layer. We're going to take our line tool and we're going to extend a line out like this. Maybe put a little bit of a knob here down, and then we're going to go back like that. Okay. Now we're going to get rid of the Starfighter level for a second. I'm going to take this and move it like that. So you want something that looks just like this. It's kind of a microphone shape. Okay, bring the Starfighter up. Make sure it looks about right. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to take the Starfighter level away. I'm going to go back to my layer 4 where this is. I'm going to select it with my magic wand tool. And then I need to figure out what color I want my weapon system to be. So I'll make mine kind of a greenish color. All right, so how about green lasers? Okay, so I'm going to fill it with green. Then I'm going to take my line tool again. I'm going to take the white. It's on 2. And I'm going to bring it here like that. Then I'm going to take my white paintbrush, increase my size to about 5. I'm going to bring this part, make this part white and kind of just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to go to Effects, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Okay. That's a little too much. Right about there. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll do Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste into a new layer, Edit, Paste into a new layer. Now I've reinforced this on layer 6 and 5 and 4. So I'm going to bring this deck back down, merge, 6, 5, 4, and I'm going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to zoom out. Okay, my color is still active. You can see I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get my Starfighter level back up. Okay. Now I'm going to take my square select, go back to layer 4. That's the layer with the laser thing that we just made. Okay. I'm going to select this laser. I'm going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. Now I'm going to grab this and move it down. And I'm going to put it right on the other side. Now bear in mind the perspective changes, see? So I'm going to have to move this a little bit so that it looks just right. Play around with this until it looks just right. Maybe extend it out, make it a little bit bigger because it's closer to the eye than the other one. Okay? So there you go. Okay. Next. I told you we were going to do a tail, but I wasn't sure what kind of tail we would do. So I said we would leave it out. So let's do that. I'm going to crunch this, I'm going to merge this back down into the Starfighter level. So now the Starfighter level has the vents, the outline, and the lasers. The lasers are done, the vents are done. Everything except for the cockpit and the tail are pretty much done at this point. So let's do the tail. I'm going to go above the color layer, and I'm going to hit plus. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect it. I'm going to take my line tool. So I'm going to do a single spin that just comes off the back like this. Extends a little bit up. And then it comes down like that. To the center. And then it cuts across just like this. Okay? So with the line tool, this becomes easier because you're able to really kind of fix things as you go. You kind of see where the lines need to be. It just becomes easier. Okay, so there's my tail. To make this level, I'm going to call this level tail. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll select the tail level. I know I'd use red, so I'm just going to fill it with red. I'm just going to do this quickly. We'll give it some shade. Doesn't need that much because the tail's not going to have too much character on it. It's just going to be, it's just like this probably. And then we'll take this up. Take this, put a little light on the front with a line, just like that. Okay. And then we'll do a blur, Gaussian blur. I know we're supposed to keep the color level separate, but again, if it's the tail, it's not going to matter too much. Okay. Then we'll do edit. Copy, edit, paste into a new layer, edit, paste into a new layer, and we'll merge all this down just like that. Okay, so now that's the tail level. We got the color. Looks pretty good so far. Okay, now we need to look at the cockpit. We're going to select the cockpit from the Starfighter level. And we are going to, I'm going to make it kind of yellowish. So we'll go here and we'll give it some glow with some white. So after we've filled it with yellow, we're going to maybe put some white kind of in the middle, like that. And then we're going to go to Effects, Edit. Actually, we're going to go to Edit, Cut, Edit, Paste into a new layer, Effects, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to blur this one. Okay, that looks about right. Now we're going to go to here, and we're going to duplicate it. Duplicate layer 5 about 3 times, and then crunch layer 5 down. Okay. Now we can take our line tool, we'll take black, we'll bring this down to say 3, and we'll put some lines on the cockpit. You don't have to put these, I usually do just to give it reference. So right about there. You can go like that. And come across and up. And across. Just like that. Okay, so we got the cockpit, we got the body, we got the color, we got the tail, we got the lasers, and now for some final details. Okay, so with final details, I'm going to crunch all this down. I think I like the color. I don't think I need to put much else on it as far as coloring it. I think the shade from the color works, and I like the tail, so I'm okay crunching all of this back down. So now everything is the Starfighter layer. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. And now, this is a fun part. Anything that you see like these lines here that need to be closed up, you want to put some rough detail on the ship, you want to draw some lines, you can add all kinds of little details. So I'm going to show you some details as I go in high speed here, because I don't want to take too much of your time, but you'll get the idea and you'll figure out how to make your stuff really look cool. So let me just start with that. Okay, so I've added some details, call them decals if you will, to my Starfighter. So now it looks pretty cool.